Yo, what up? Good morning, GM. Friday, oh baby, Friday, March 21st, 2025. Look at that, another beautiful day to have a beautiful day. I got my co-host in the house. Oh, he's got the shirt on. Tyler, Mando, good morning. Oh, Mando, I'm jealous. Oh, fucker. I swear to God, man. This guy's hosting outside in the sunshine. I can already tell. Tyler, Mando, good morning. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, I'm back in Portugal. Life is good.
I love that. I just want this. Like, I'm so tired of not having any sunshine in the morning. I woke up this morning, the first thing I told Vanessa, I was like, babe, I can't wait to just wake up to the sun smashing my face. I think Tyler, you'll relate. It was spring here yesterday. It was actually summer. It was t-shirt weather, 18 degrees Celsius, it's like 70s. And tonight's gonna be -10, or it's like -7 right now. So it's like the market, you know what I mean? Like Bitcoin was 87K and I was like 82K again or some shit. Same thing's going on in Montreal. So I'm getting rugged, and and everywhere I go. Tyler did it. Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Can't wait for the show. We got 2 mega guests coming on, 2 big ones.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Today's gonna be a fun show. So let's get right into that. Today on the show, today, I already see a bunch of Pudgy penguins and a bunch of Tapered wizards in the audience. Love to see that. Where my penguins at? Come on. We're gonna do market report. Then we're gonna go, quickly over Tyler's topics. I'm assuming we're not gonna have too much time to go too deep, but we'll see what the top headlines are for the day. Then we'll do Taproot Wizard. So wizard. So Udi Wizardheimer is gonna be joining us on the show. We'll talk all things Taproot Wizard, but also we've got Tyler and I've got some questions for him. Okay, we want to know about our runes and our puppets. Mando, I see you rolling your eyes. We're gonna talk about this, okay? I want to talk with Udi. Yeah,
How dare you?
How dare you, right? Only one man can save Ordinals, and he's coming on the show today. So I can't wait. Runes, there's no saving, but we'll talk about that with Udi, and then followed by Luca again. He was hoping the news would drop yesterday so he could talk about it on the show yesterday. It didn't happen. The news dropped after the show, so we invited him again. So we'll come in about 35-ish minutes, 40 minutes to talk about the Pengu and Pudgy Penguin ETF that Canary Labs, Shad Mando, put forward. So I think people are going to end up really believing that one. I love that. I love that lore. So anyways, that's the show scheduled today. Again, we're going to do a Robit loot box spins. For those who are not familiar, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we give away literally either Red Guy or CryptoPunk. We've had 3 CryptoPunk hits, one of them as early as 2 weeks ago. And today you're going to have over 15% chance to win a Pudgy Penguin. So there's a big chance someone's going to win a penguin. So we're going to give you guys a code a little later. And last but not least, this show is powered by Galaxis. Galaxis is the Web3 platform empowering creators and brands to build unstoppable communities with full ownership and independence, trusted by icons like Donald Trump, Steve Aoki, Mike Tyson, and the NBA. Shaping together the future of engagement, but also Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to a Web3 app, you've seen Wallet Connect. That blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa as checkout. Want to learn more? Follow Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. Mando, you tell me what's next.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land?
Can you dig it?
GM, everyone.
Good
We are
morning.
back. We are back.
Are we?
And, well, we're definitely just where we were, which I've been kind of saying for a little bit now. Just don't, just play the long-term game. Feels as though we could be here for a little bit of time, I think, before macro sorts itself out, and then people work out if they're ready to buy altcoins again and all the degen stuff. It's definitely it's zoom out sort of market. And don't buy into FOMO. Don't get too bearish, I would say, as well. At least at this level, like everything's down so much. I think it's difficult to paint like an extremely bearish picture for anything. And I think Bitcoin still looks like the one that's going to hold up the best, if I'm honest. Like it's still Bitcoin hasn't really moved, right? It is.
It's at 83.5. Yeah, it's barely, it's
Yeah,
been
which
kind
is
of
kind
raging
of where
here.
it's been for a while now.
Yeah.
Very low. Very low volatility, in my opinion. So I think we could be here for a bit of the weekend. It feels as though Bitcoin like maybe has a little retest to see if that 78K was really the bottom. You had Arthur Hayes saying yesterday he's flipped bullish, thinks that 78, 77K level was the bottom. But I would be unsurprised if we go like, right, was that really the bottom? And we test it, and we probably test it in a bunch of alts too, and then you have a much stronger test of whether that was really the whether that really was the bottom. So Bitcoin dominance has gone slightly higher again. It's back up to like 62K again today. Interestingly, like BNB has probably been the strongest, and there continues to be a lot of degen activity going on there. Like whenever I do the Monday minutes, it's always BNB coins at the moment that are
it is
at the top. And I would say that 99% of them have the same narrative. CZ or someone related to Binance has in some way promoted or or bought one of them, or like there's a wallet. They literally are just the same pitch for every coin.
CZ bot, is that what's going on there? I'm not following.
There's one today, which is CZ's wife.
Fuck.
She was related to a coin. I think it was called Bob.
Oh,
40,
I saw.
it's at 40 million.
Oh man.
But there's a lot of like, we're going to run it. But this is like Bob, they've pitched as like the FWOG of BNB, and somehow like someone related to Binance has bought them, which is important because Binance has been listing some of these coins. So there is like, there's not just like a reason why that happens. Like they do this whole Binance Alpha thing. They've really switched towards being BNB coins recently. So they listed like Mubarak, which is like that Mubarak meme, and they've listed Test. They list tons of like just BNB memes. It feels as though low key, I don't want to say crime season, but there's definitely an insider season going on BNB at the moment. BNB meme gets BNB Alpha, gets listed, pumps, and then we do the same next week. That's kind of what's happening. But BNB's doing well. Like its DEX volumes are high. If you look at BNB, and interestingly Tron as well, these are the two coins which are, I mean, Tron is basically where it was in December. It's just gone sideways in a very narrow channel, and BNB is similarly kind of where it was last March. So it's just going sideways. So in a market where a lot of our L1s are going down, those two are holding up quite well. So if you're going to degen, it feels as though Tron and BNB are where that's happening. Yesterday there was some integration that Tron is obviously going to be involved with PumpFun, helping the launch of their native DEX. So we're going to see PumpFun basically migrate to Tron, I think. And but the rest of the market, just feels a little bit sluggish, I would say today. ETH, Solana, all the other kind of L1s are a little bit heavy.
Yeah, it's just, again, we're back in another episode of The Chop.
Yeah.
And
I think there was like, again, there was rumors yesterday of this capital gains thing from Trump. I think this is going to be the rumor for the next 2 years. Just, it's going to continue to be with us. I would say there's a very low chance of this going through. Very low. I don't know if there's a poly market for it, or I know there's not a Destan for it, or a Myriad, sorry, but
We should open one. But the thing is, it's such a hard thing to resolve.
Yeah, and it could
Because
resolve
it's got to
for
go to
ages.
it could resolve for ages. Then it's got to go to Congress. It's like the whole resolution.
And the Senate, right? And they've only got very narrow, majorities in both of those. And I would say that in a time where they are pointing to austerity, the concept that crypto bros are going to get a tax break, I just don't think it's it's not a populist move. Like,
see, it's not even do much volume here. Like,
very good. This is kind of what I think you should be thinking about here. It's a low probability. So when you see headlines about this, be very wary that Trump can't just do this. It's got to go to Congress and the Senate, and I think something like this just would not have the votes to pass, in my opinion.
It would take forever. It can't just happen, right? But yeah, yesterday was just the Intel page, right? Like during the show, just comes down and goes, Intel breaking news, we're gonna fucking announce 0% tax, and we all scrambled to even find where Trump spoke. Even Tyler and I were looking everywhere, man. At the end of the show, like, yo, where is this thing? And it ended up being like a pre-recorded.
I don't know what happened.
2 minute. 2 minute. Oh, the mountains. 2 minutes 46. 2 hour and 46-minute video. So I thought that was a whole other conversation, though. I think a lot of people reacted to that one. But anyways, all right, Mando. Looks like the market is pretty straightforward. You said it was a big macro week. We got through FOMC. Was there any other like things to pay attention to for the rest of the month, or are we kind of coast clear? Like, what is there to pay attention to?
I mean, this week we had quite a lot. So we had the Bank of Japan and we had the Bank of England, both held rates exactly the same, and then you had the Fed. Next week I'd need to check. I actually don't think the last week of the year, I think we'll probably get PCE inflation, I think, normally in the last week of the month. I can bring it up. But yeah, it probably will be quieter, I reckon, next week. But maybe there's something that like derails us. It seems like a strange one. So next week we have PCE inflation on Friday, and we have GDP growth on Thursday. So those are, a Friday one will be probably quite big, but I don't think that there's anything really there that's absolutely crazy for sure.
It's setting us up for an interesting period here. So there's no April FOMC, right? So it's early May 6th, May 7th, I believe. So somewhat smooth sailing, but I guess we've got the tariffs on April 2nd. That's probably the next major event.
Fuck.
We'll see, how's that? Is it actually going to go through? Is it going to be fully retaliatory?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the next big item on the radar. But
I
course,
would agree.
who knows with this administration?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see where the next surprise is. But please, no more breaking news for the sake of this industry and like our mental health. Not that we believe them all. Even though, remember Tyler yesterday was like, I'm not gonna retweet that. I don't think it's too legit. But please. I think I might tweet the numbers yesterday, but it's just a little bit like angering. And then I ended up asking Sandra. I was like, yo, any of this real? He's like, yo, honestly, like, he was like, it's actually wild because people are reporting on news that even the White House doesn't know about. You know what I mean? So I think everybody needs to take a step back and stop making everything about headlines. I think Bats had a good comment back to what I was talking about. He was like, it's kind of become annoying that we're only reacting to like what Trump is going to say or will do. Like, since when is the entire market of crypto dependent on this? And it shouldn't. Like, we've kind of won that battle already. Like, that's what we were talking about with the Solana ad earlier this week, right, guys? Like, we've already won the battle that we made inside the White House. Like, you have Bull Hines, of everything. You have David Sachs. Trump is talking about Bitcoin every single chance he has a chance. Did you guys see like Eric Trump is now the advisor of Metaplanet?
Yeah.
Like crypto's everywhere. Like, we don't need to keep pushing that.
I think it points to the idea that people are looking for the catalyst, though. And what you realize in this period, you just have to accept that the next major catalyst is going to be stablecoin regulation. Trump has gone on record and said that he wants that by August. Okay? August.
It's true. He did say that.
And after that, we would look to get RWA regulation. Maybe we'll see some more details about like different, like not the Bitcoin reserve, but maybe broader crypto reserve. Interestingly, yesterday they said that Bitcoin mining is not subject to the SEC.
Yeah, huge.
So maybe they'll get involved in that, as I continue to think.
I think you're right. I think that's the best call you've made here. Like, that the government was probably going to start mining Bitcoin. I totally see that.
Yeah. And then you're really kind of just waiting on. So then your catalyst from Washington, I don't know if stablecoin regulation really takes us that much higher. Like, yeah, you probably have banks who could hold it a little bit more and do different things, but I don't know if it's like absolutely massive. I think the RWA regulation is much bigger. So I think if I were to think about, let's say, the top 5 catalysts that could happen, right, realistic ones.
Yeah, break it down for us.
I would say it's obviously now you can get it's much easier for corporates, particularly in the US, to own crypto. I would say ideally some headline about one of maybe the top 20 corporations in the S&P or in the NASDAQ, aside from Tesla, buying crypto for their treasury. That would be very, very bullish, because then you have a state where like most of the people buying crypto at the moment are people raising money like Sailor is. But if you had one of these big tech companies or a company with a lot of cash decide, hey, we want to buy some Bitcoin, that you can potentially buy billions of Bitcoin quite quickly. So I think there's that. I would guess it would be more headlines around sovereign wealth funds. The US one, I actually think is a bit of a red herring. I still don't know how that thing's going to be financed. But I think if you heard like Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia or maybe the broader UAE
Right.
or Qatar, there was a lot of talk about Qatar in the past, has come in and bought a few billion, few hundred million, that would be a bullish thing. As would, and then it's stuff around China really. So like, does China decide to embrace crypto a little bit more? Maybe that's more like soft, like you see a softening of their policies on mainland China rather than just Hong Kong. Maybe that's a bit much, but maybe they do something like that. There's some talk about that South Korea might now allow Bitcoin ETFs. Obviously, South Korea is
Huge
in the top 3 for crypto.
Yeah,
that would be a big headline if they
they
allowed
are.
Crypto ETFs, which is likely, I think, at this stage.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. I don't know. After
I mean, that is a big catalyst, right? Like when you think about it, if you told me this a few years ago, or anybody in this industry, you'd be like, "Holy shit, what?" And it's funny, Tyler, that you sent us this DeFi Llama tweet about stablecoins, and then you have Matt Hoogan. I was just like searching stablecoins on X, and it's the first tweet that comes out half an hour ago. I can't stop thinking about this quote from U.S. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent. We are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins for that. He goes, however big you think stablecoin AUM will get, you're probably thinking too small. So the question becomes, what does the rest of the crypto market look like if stablecoin AUM is multiple trillions? And we've seen that before. That out of global liquidity M2, I think 1% is stablecoins. And 1% is very small. Remember that Chris Bernsky tweet, like 99% to go? Obviously, it's probably not going to go there, but like 10% doesn't seem crazy, right? So you could argue that supply is going to 10x, and what happens to the rest of crypto? Tyler, it looks like you have some thoughts on this, and then we'll get to the topics.
No, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the impact of the stablecoin growth. I think it's clearly going up and to the right. I want to say I think it has to be net positive for the top crypto majors, but at the same time, like that's like a gradual thing. Like I don't think any of these are like the catalyst that's going to make Bitcoin rip back to 100K. So like this week, right? Stablecoins are up 2.3 billion. They're up 5 billion on the month.
Yeah.
And we're just chopping, right? So I don't have my finger on the pulse of exactly like what's happening, what's driving all of it, where it's all coming from. But it's one of the more intriguing storylines to watch, and I totally agree. Like it's happening, and we're gonna see huge orders of magnitude increases over the coming years.
Man, this EBT search chart is insane. That is so crazy. That's insane. Was this thing 170% or something, guys? Like, it is just nonstop. Is even remember this dip here? People were calling for like BTC Dom top here, and it's lower, and it's just skyrocketed again. Yeah, there is no top. I love you. Oh, Mando, you muted. I think you're trying to say something, right?
Yeah, it's interesting that I know we feel like we've been in been having a bad time, and this isn't really a conversation for altcoins, but for Bitcoin, Bitcoin is still the best performing asset since Trump was elected. The best performing major asset since Trump was elected. It's beating US stocks, bonds. I don't know about China stocks now because I know they're up like 40 or 50% this year, but it's them and China stocks which is still up the most since Trump was elected. This whole Trump trade where you bought like Tesla, Trump Media, all of that sort of stuff, maybe like the energy firms, that has really reversed.
Oh my God. Yeah, it did.
Like the basket of Trump trades, there's been a lot of analysis on it, and it's like it's got decimated since the election.
Yeah.
Right. Like, look at that.
That's Tesla. Yeah, it looks like Ethereum,
right.
but yeah.
But there's a number of firms like that. So people in TradFi think that Bitcoin is outperforming. Just to let everyone know. Like the conversation in TradFi is Bitcoin is doing better than the rest of the market. That it's more of a safe haven asset. They don't think, they're not saying, "Oh my God, it's been some horrific stuff," because they're not paying attention to altcoins.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. That like, there's been a lot of pain on a lot of different things, and yeah, people think Bitcoin's like doing well.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, love to see that. That's a nice narrative shift. I love that. Tyler, let's run through your topics quickly, but I see Udi, speaking of Bitcoin, see you say Bitcoin, you whisper Bitcoin, and then he shows up, the wizard shows up. I see him in his too. So Tyler, let's just, I guess, run down the topics quickly, and then we'll go straight to our interview with Udi.
For daily NFT and crypto analysis. Tyler T on FOMO hour cause the kids can't miss. Free to bash the bears.
Yeah, folks, crypto majors a bit red here on the day after a bit of a letdown from Trump's appearance at DAS yesterday. That appearance was just a pre-recorded message reaffirming previous talking points and saying he wants America to become an undisputed Bitcoin superpower. So good message, but we'd heard before. Markets were overhyped, as we tend to do. In other headlines, Canary Labs filed for a Pingu ETF, including the Pingu meme coin and Pudgy NFTs. I was so excited to say it. I botched it. But this is a big one. We're going to be talking to Luca about it in a few minutes here. The SEC, as Mando alluded to, they shared that crypto mining, specifically proof of work, does not violate securities laws. Big win for Bitcoin, Doge, and other blockchains. We saw biotech firm Atai. They're the latest public company to announce a Bitcoin treasury, $5 million in Bitcoin they picked up. The Ton Foundation said that a group of VCs, including Sequoia and a few others, have now invested over $400 million into Toncoin. So the money pouring into Ton. We mentioned stablecoins are up quite a bit. The Orca token was a surprise winner. It jumped 140% after being listed on Upbit yesterday. So that was a huge one. We saw Uranium Digital, folks. They raised $6.1 million to bring uranium futures and spot trading on chain by Solana. So you're going to be able to trade uranium 24/7 here soon. If
my people are happy.
A couple of pieces of breaking news, or not breaking, but Metaplanet hired Eric Trump as an advisor. That came out last night. Interesting headline there. And then this morning, right before the show, Saylor has reportedly upped his Strive sale from $500 million to $720 million. So even more capital coming into his Bitcoin pouches here. In token airdrop and protocol news, PumpFun, one of the biggest stories of the day. They introduced Pump Swap. It's a native DEX, sharing that immediately all pump coins that migrate will go directly to Pump Swap with instant migration, zero fees, more liquidity, and potentially creator rev sharing. So huge news there. Moonpay landed a new $200 million revolving credit line from Galaxy. Shout out to them. Wayfinder, the Kaido effect, folks. They've seen 100,000 new wallets activated.
Wow.
Kaido activation. That Kaido activation was Monday. 100,000 new wallets in a week. That's pretty big success. And then Walrus, big news over on Sui. 3 major announcements. Their mainnet launch is March 27th. They introduced their Wall tokenomics, and they also shared they raised $140 million to scale programmable storage on Sui, led by Standard Crypto and A16Z. So some big VCs in there. Rounding this out, in AI crypto news, Virtual's unveiled their new Virtual Partners Network. It's a council to help new founders through their launch journey. Mintify announced an AI-powered trading within their marketplace. And yeah, that's pretty much the headlines from today. Oh, Tapered, folks, you got to get your Bitcoin in those wallets by Monday if you want to be eligible to go ahead and mint on Tuesday. I'm sure we'll hear more from Udi on that here in a few minutes.
Start entangling. You know, the last time I heard the term entanglement was during the whole Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith thing, when she said she was having an entanglement with her son's friend or some shit. Right? Isn't that where the term comes from? I mean, let's bring him up on here. Udi!
Yo!
Boker Tov, how you doing?
Boker Tov.
You guys have like the best GM, you know, in the Israelis, like Boker Tov. Like it sounds so good, you know?
We say Jimiao.
Yeah, Gmeow. Yeah. I leave that for the fairies of Twitter. That's a little bit, you know, I like that. Yo, Udi, let me ask you something.
The entanglement stuff, you know, it's look, some people are kind of more in the LA vibes and they're into Jada Smith, I guess. It's also a term in quantum mechanics, though.
Oh,
so
right.
That too.
Sorry, media brain here. You know, so I'm assuming, you know, half of CT went towards that where I went, and the other half went towards the quantum.
Probably
computing.
like 70% went to where you went.
Yeah, probably. Tyler, I love those topics though. We'll have to go back on Monday on the PumpFun and Radium thing because there's some beef on the timeline. I saw some of the Radium collaborators.
That's rare.
That's what you did. They were not. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. Exactly. They were not too happy about those announcements back to back. But there's definitely a lot of movement on that front. Quickly, the code today to the chance. You know, Udi, I wish Robit loot boxes took Bitcoin or Ordinals, but for now it's only Ethereum NFTs, your favorite. But the code today is Wizard though, so we gave you guys the code. We named it after you, Wizard. So if you go to rafflebot.xyz, rafflebot.xyz, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we pick someone from the audience live. And we roll, and you can win. Today, you have 15% chances, or 13% chances of winning a Pudgy Penguin. So,
nice.
It's not bad. It's a quick little, 10, 15 grand, right? So you absolutely love to see that one's actually worth, never mind, $25,000. So it's pretty good. Anyways, Udi, man, so excited to have you back on the show. I feel like every time there's something big going on, I always text you. I'm like, you gotta get you on the show to talk all things Tapered Wizards. My first question to you, Udi, is what the hell is happening with my pups?
What, the puppets Ordinals? I love the puppets, man.
No, the runes. What's happening with our runes, Udi? We got
scammed.
scammed.
Not to buy runes, man. I can't help you. I told you not to buy runes. You wanted to buy the runes. I cannot help there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't the name, right? Like we're literally in runes now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the name.
Runes were, we tried.
But you've reseized now, so you're investing in Odin Fun. So tell us a little bit.
Odin Fun. If you want to try runes, then the place to do that. The place to do that is on Odin Fun, because what they did is they basically took all of the bad things about runes and threw them away.
That's true.
And they ended up with a platform that's it's really cool. It's fast. It's easy to use, and you can use Bitcoin. You don't have to trade against Sol and watch your overall Sol balance go down. You can trade it with Bitcoin. Personally, I love that part. So yeah, it's a pretty cool platform for trading, and they're all new. Like it's a launch pad, so they're all new runes. You don't have to carry your baggage of old bad rune investments in there. So yeah, Odin Fun is pretty cool.
Oh wow! So we're definitely never seeing our pups listed on there, Tyler. So there goes that question. He's never.
I mean, maybe I don't know. It's up
your
to
basket of old runes. God damn it! All right, well, Udi, listen, we're not here to talk runes and stuff, though. We did have a few questions on the ecosystem as a whole. I know Tyler's got some questions for you, but quickly, I don't think you need any introductions. Udi, co-founder of Tapered Wizards. We love the Wizards. Honestly, I think you guys are one of the projects that's really doing some great stuff, and you're literally trying to change Bitcoin. So kind of want to ask you first, what's the latest here? Tyler quickly mentioned your mint, or the entanglement happening at the moment to get a wizard. So why don't you take us through the latest news, and then maybe we can ask you some more questions about all that.
Yeah. So after 2 years of sitting on those Tapered Wizards and people begging us to, we always joke that nobody wants a Tapered Wizard, but the truth is people have been asking us for 2 years to let go of them already. So we're finally doing that. And there's been, there's the thing about this collection, unlike most kind of popular PFP collections. This one is only 2,000 pieces as opposed to 10,000. There's really not that many of them, so we just can't fit everyone in. So we had a couple of ways to get into the whitelist. One way was the so-called cat entanglement. That is actually closed now, so you cannot do that. If you didn't do it yet, you can't do that anymore. It meant if you hold two quantum cats, you could use them in order to get a spot with a discount into the Tapered Wizards. Then on I believe it was on Wednesday, 2 days ago, we announced the sort of Wizards Cool whitelist, which is all the awesome guys that have been taking showers over the years. You've seen them on the timeline.
Yeah.
They've had a bunch of awesome videos last week about how they're going to earn 0.2 Bitcoin to pay for the mint price. There are literally thousands of those too.
So good.
We picked the best of the best and put them on the whitelist as well. So at this stage, the whitelist is closed. People who are on the whitelist, Tyler mentioned that before, they absolutely have to go and fund their wallets and connect them to the website by Monday noon Eastern. Because if they don't, we have this long waiting list of other people that want in. If they don't do that by then, we're going to have to remove them from the whitelist and let other people in. So you absolutely have to load your wallet by Monday. After that's all said and done, the mint for the whitelist is on Tuesday. And after that's all said and done, we're also going to have a small public portion that will go to a Dutch auction. That one I'm really excited about because it's the first time in Ordinals that we're doing something really cool. Anyone can connect to the Mint website for the auction public part, can connect to the Mint website with Phantom Wallet. So you don't need to have an Ordinals wallet.
Wow.
You can connect with Phantom Wallet. You can bid with Sol. And if you win, you'll get the wizard straight to your Phantom Wallet on Bitcoin, on Ordinals. It's not bridged, it's not anything like that. Phantom has Ordinals support for this. So you can pay with Sol that you already have, with the Phantom Wallet you already have, and you get the wizard straight to your wallet. So I'm really happy about that. That's the first time anyone's done it.
Wow. Wait, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Because the main hurdle has always been, I mean, I love X1st, by the way, as a wallet. There's some great wallets on there. I never really had issues, but I'm just saying, like, you just make it a little bit simpler.
Yeah. So, like our core community, the reason we did it like this is our core community, the ones who've been entangling cats and the ones who've been like doing the whitelists and the quests and the showers and all this stuff, they have X-verse, they're good to go. But for everyone else who's not been part of the Ordinals ecosystem and wants to kind of get a taste, that's like the perfect way to onboard for the first time. I think there's a lot of people who are kind of like, yeah, I really want to type a wizard, but what do I do? So that's a really easy way to get in for people who want it.
Well, that's huge news. I actually didn't realize that. So that's big. You're unlocking a bigger audience for sure. I guess, Udi, maybe stepping back for a minute, Tapered Wizards have been in the works for quite some time. Right. So like maybe tell us a little bit about that. Like, why was the journey so long? Did you choose it? Like, did it actually just take this long to develop everything and get it in the readiness that you wanted? Yeah, tell us a little about the journey.
Yeah, so it's actually been longer than most people even think.
Wait, but we're in the bear market. It's like last bear market.
It's so funny to me when Bitcoin is like 80K and people call it a bear market, but like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. It just means that people don't hold Bitcoin. That's
nobody owns Bitcoin.
So we inscribed the collection, so put the JPEGs on chain forever on Bitcoin in February 2023, so just over 2 years ago. But we started working on this project even earlier than that. We've started working on this around summer 2022, maybe even a little before that.
Whoa.
Before Ordinals existed, or at least before we knew that Ordinals are in development. The reason for that was, if you think back to the previous bull cycle, you might remember that like Bitcoin did not have the same kind of brand identity that it has today. We joke now that a lot of people just in crypto don't have Bitcoin in their portfolio, but back then it really was. It was like people would have been ashamed in on CT to say that they own Bitcoin. It was considered like a pit rock, doesn't do anything, never goes up, and you cannot do anything with it, and it's only for boomers and maxis and whatever. It had like a real branding problem at the time, and we wanted to start the Tapered Wizards collection at the time in order to kind of improve that a little bit and create a community for people who maybe are, some of them Bitcoin OGs, maybe some of them are people who have been, in Bitcoin for a while or maybe newer to it, but what they see on Twitter is just those kind of laser eye maxis, and they can't be part of that because it's terrible. So we wanted to give like another way for people to identify with Bitcoin. That was kind of the point of Tapered Wizards early on. We thought it might be like a collection for Bitcoiners on Ethereum because there was no good way to do it on Bitcoin. But that kind of never fully clicked for us. So we had the artwork ready, we had a lot of the story ready, and then when Ordinals showed up, we were like, okay, this is actually the perfect platform for this, and that's why we kicked this. We got this going like very, very quickly. I think by inscription 600, like the 600th image on chain is a Tapered Wizard already. So yeah, it was pretty quick. And then the entire collection was already ready by the end of that month and was already on chain. But we always hope, people have been asking us to finally like distribute and mint those, but like we kept telling people that this is going to be something that takes a while. And one of the reasons for it was I see this as something that has a chance to become a really kind of long-term staple of Bitcoin culture. And for that, you want to get the right people in. The right people are the ones who will stick with you for a long time.
Yeah.
And not necessarily the ones who will mint at the peak of the hype or whatever it is. So even though, we could have sold them for like, I don't know, fucking 1-2 BTC at the peak of the Ordinals hype and make a bag and fuck off. But I think that would have been bad for the collection. So waiting has been like something we always knew and always said we're going to do for a long time.
Yeah.
And now we have this community. I mean, it's obviously never happened before that someone launched an NFT collection and did not distribute it for 2 years. That never happened. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out.
I knew a few people that took money and never launched as a whole.
Yeah,
but they didn't try
some
to
people
build
did the opposite. Yeah,
yeah, they didn't try to actually. But let me ask you something. Why are people? So Bongo here. Why is this MFer on my timeline getting just punched for a top wearing a wizard? Like, what was the latest round? Oh, wow.
That had to hurt.
That Bongo, that had to. God damn, that had to. So what's the latest challenge? Because I followed along the wizard showers and everything. That was great, by the way. Shout out to you for making people on CT actually take showers.
Finally.
Fire. But why is Bongo out there just getting punched in the stomach?
Yeah, so our last quest over the previous week was to make videos where people, wear a wizard costume and come up with ways to earn the mint price of 0.2. So there's been a lot of people with original ideas. Bongo just had people pay him to punch him, which is a great idea. Great idea. That's a great business.
That's a great business. Yeah. He's a strong guy, though. He came up to me in Paris. I was like, God damn, he's strong. So, yeah. Wow, look at this. Shiv is dressed as a wizard. You have everybody out there dressed as wizards.
Yeah, man.
This is great.
He's strong. I mean, it's one of my takeaways. NFT NYSE 2023. I had folks coming up to me and talking about Tapered Wizards, and they weren't really super on my radar yet at that time. I was a little bit more focused on in Ethereum, and those people are still here, sticking around. So they stuck with it for 2 years. So that is
it's really some of the most amazing people I've met in crypto, honestly. Like, and they're creative too, and they're funny, and like. And they want to see Bitcoin, on the front stage, So
this is great.
Yeah. There's a ton of these videos. Right?
There's so many. I remember once we were reviewing them.
Thousands of videos in like 24 hours. So we had like 20 people like running through those. It's crazy.
I thought nobody wanted a wizard.
Yeah, I thought so too, but they keep surprising me.
So what's the supply? 2,100 of them? Is that what it is?
2121. A bunch of them are honoraries. Some of the honoraries have not been inscribed yet, but there's like a few reserved for future honoraries. The main collection is 2085.
Did I hear honoraries?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you promised me something 2 years ago now.
All promises of the Tapered Wizards project either have been kept or will be kept.
Promises made. Promises kept.
Promises kept. I think we've shown that, like,
You have.
yeah. I mean,
you
it
have.
might
I
take us
love
2
you guys.
years, but when we say we're gonna do something, we're eventually doing it.
You've thrown banger events. You guys are everywhere. I was just with Far in Paris, like a couple months ago, catching up. Your events are
Well, the
really
event
awesome.
in Paris was wild. I mean, honestly, to be perfectly honest, personally, I had very little to do with it. We have just an amazing team.
Yeah, you do.
producing these,
You really do.
and they killed it for the Paris event. Absolutely killed it. It was like, it was what you had like, and you had like this entrance where just show up to the next event. I don't even want to give people ideas. Just next time, just show up.
I know it was the same night as Wrecked, and I was like, "Fuck." It's always like that, right? Those events, like you have to, you're like so torn. It's like, yo, I gotta support, Obi, Mando, the Wreck fam, and at the same time, like, I got Far time, like, yo, we're throwing a banger. You gotta pull up. I'm like, God damn it! But it's awesome. Udi, look, we don't have to keep you much longer. Like, honestly, like, one question for you is like, Opcat, how's that going? Because on top of like, I think behind the scenes, that's one thing I've always talked about. Like when I talk with you guys are actually trying to scale Bitcoin. Like you actually, like, it's not like you're trying to break. You tried to break
Bitcoin,
and
add functionality too.
Yeah,
but so my co-founder Eric Wall published a thread about this a couple of weeks ago. We had a really interesting kind of visit to Hong Kong recently, where we got to meet a lot of the kind of movers and shakers in the mining industry over there, and a bunch of others. Miners are like a very important component in getting Opcat to work. It was a very good week because we had a lot of interest from these guys. It's like Opcat is like this kind of lobbying effort, almost like a political lobbying thing, because we have this stuff that we were developing internally, but in order for all of this to work, the Opcat upgrade has to happen, and that's kind of almost a lobbying effort. So the visit to Hong Kong has been very promising. There's going to be, I think it should be announced very soon. There's going to be like a big event, a public event in Hong Kong next.
Sick.
About Opcat. We'll have more detail about that very soon. It's going to be like imminently.
Okay, I want to go.
And that's going to be great. I think in Vegas, there's going to be probably some progress on that too. And on the developer front, on the kind of Bitcoin protocol developer front, one of the amazing things that have happened in the last 12 months is, Opcat, and really just the idea of soft forking or upgrading Bitcoin has been seen as a joke for so long. Like when we first came up with this a year ago, we were laughed out of the room. Basically, people would say like, these clowns think they can upgrade Bitcoin. Who the fuck do they think they are? Now, basically, the entire conversation of Bitcoin protocol developers around the clock, 24/7, is around how to make the next upgrade happen. Like it is literally in consensus now that Bitcoin needs to upgrade one way or another. So the fact that this changed this much in 12 months is like a huge, it's really an achievement by the community of Quantum Cats and Tapered Wizards that has been like on this and shown that they want this for so long. That people cannot ignore this anymore. And this is part of what the quests are so good for. When you see them flood the timeline, you can't ignore this.
No,
you just can't. You might not like it, but you cannot ignore it. And it's been amazing. Really, this community is literally making things happen.
Love that. Well, congratulations, Udi. Love what you guys are doing. We're all big fans. Always going to support you guys. So really excited. Dude, don't worry. I'm good on the shower side, personally speaking. When you live with a woman, when the hack is just to live with a woman, right? Then you definitely can't not shower, right? So, so we make sure that we shower. Anyways, Udi, dude, best of luck for the future of Tapered Wizards.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see what's next, and congrats on everything, man. Thank you for coming. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Good luck, man.
Peace, brother. All right, all right. Well, that was fun. Love Udi, love having him on. We're just gonna keep it rolling right up to the next guest. We got Luca Nets in the house. Boo, 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 boo. What up, Luca? Good morning,
guys. How you doing?
Long time no speak.
Yeah, Mando, it's been a couple months.
Oh man, Luca, dude, listen, some big news came out right after you guys left the stage yesterday. You know, we got the Canary. The Canary ETFs were filed yesterday, but not just for Pengu, and Pudgy penguins. This is huge. Just as a reminder for those of you that are on the Twitter Spaces, we're also live on video. It is pinned at the top of the Spaces. We go live Monday to Friday on audio and video as well. But also rafflebot.xyz. The code today is Wizard. You have a chance to win a Pudgy penguin. We have 13% chances that the person who comes up on stage today wins a Pudgy penguin. It would be nice to win a Pudgy penguin on a day like today. So imagine you listen to the show, you get all the alpha, you get Wizard. You get the Pudgy Penguin chat, and you get to win a Pudgy. $26,000. You'd love to see that. So anyways, rafflebot.xyz. Make sure you sign up as we talk to Luca. Luca, big news, brother. First and foremost, congratulations. I think it's a huge deal for the space. Tyler's got a bunch of questions for you. He's our resident penguin expert in the house. But first, Luca, how do you feel after the news yesterday? And why don't you break it down for us, why it's so important for the Pudgy Penguins, but also for the industry?
Well, I tried to time it yesterday for you, so I apologize. I apologize.
You're good.
But better late than never. I think from our perspective, about like 2 months ago, I kind of told our Web3 team that like this is the place where I want us to focus. And why I want us to focus there is because I think the Pudgy Penguin story and the assets within our ecosystem are really easily digestible to the normal traditional finance type of person. And now that these rails are kind of opening up, it seems like this is a direction that we really want to go in. And so from our perspective, we're working really hard to not only, push this through, but I think there's a couple other things here that you'll see in the coming months in terms of what we're doing on the institutional side to ultimately open up the rails for people to participate within the ecosystem. Again, I think when you look at these type of tokens specifically, I think right now it's just Doge and Bonk alongside Pengu in this like mimetic culture category that have ETF filings. I think from our perspective, we just feel like we have a really competitive case, to kind of make to people in regards to what it looks like to ultimately participate in the Pudgy Penguin ecosystem. But I think it's something that's really easily understandable for them. So. I think it's a cool moment, one that I think is pretty historic because of the NFT integration and understanding that like the Pudgy Penguin ecosystem is both Pengu and the NFTs and kind of opening up those rails for that. But I've been in DC twice over the last 5 weeks, and we've got a lot more things cooking here.
So I am curious on that note, did you have input into like the split of it's going to be X% Pengu token in the ETF is going to be Y% NFT? Like, what was that process like to kind of make sure both assets got bundled into the product?
Yeah, I think you got to understand, like, when it comes down to inflows, inflows, $1 million on inflows on NFTs are way more impactful than $1 million in inflows on a liquid token. And so it's weighted a lot more for the token than it is the NFT. But I think the weight is probably similar in the sense of like the liquidity and ultimately what moves the needle based on the percentage of inflows. And based on our understanding, I think like $1 million on the NFT floor probably does the same thing that like $5 or $6 million does on the token, based on just like me staring at it and using it for the last couple of months.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm curious. Like, two-part question. How hard was it to pull this off to get here? And then I'm also curious, part two, like what does the approval process look like? And like how much is the team involved in that? And like what the future here looks like?
Yeah, so I think the beauty of us is like we have these relationships. And so there's a lot of doors that are already kind of opened in this respect. And so I think in terms of how hard it actually wasn't necessarily that hard in terms of like the process is rigorous, and obviously we're not the ones filing it. So that's definitely, Canary has a brunt of the weight. I think the hard part would be the relationships and the connections, and I think that's easy for us. And it's been something that when you're boots on the ground in DC, you can kind of make things happen.
Yeah. This is a big deal. So you're telling me like this is so cool. So you think like the guy behind the desk at Canary is gonna go like, damn, this trick goes hard. He's gonna be sweeping the floor on OpenSea, like that. To me, it's so wild that like we've come from 2021 NFT mania. We talked about this on the show, like at some point, like NFTs arguably are more fun than meme coins, etc. But you kind of have best of both worlds. So now you can, you can just go buy Pudgy Penguin plush at Walmart if you just wanna, the toy, or you can end up with the NFT or the token if you want to have access to the ecosystem. And now you're gonna be the ETFs are gonna be able to buy these up. This is really cool, man. Fuck, this is so sick. I didn't think it would be possible this soon, honestly, for the NFTs itself. That's really cool. Anyways, Tyler, back to you. I just wanted to comment on that because I just think it's such a big, advancement. I know you got ties to Van Eck, who has like literally a Penguin PFP and never changed it. And then you have Bitwise, Hunter Horsley, who has you guys in the index. Is it possible that we see more filings on NFTs like that?
Yeah, I think we totally will. And I think again, this is probably just one of I think many things that we have coming here. I'm also trying to think like how can I just lift the entire industry. I'm actually pretty bullish on this stuff getting approved. I just functionally, if I'm looking at the landscape and what I think is in the process of being approved, and then I'm looking at not only the Pengu ETF, but maybe just a holistic NFT ETF. Maybe there's a culture ETF, right? There's definitely a lot of that we're exploring that not only just benefits, us and our ecosystem, but others as well. I think we're in a position of leadership, and as leaders, it's our job to lead. And, ultimately, I think there's other things that we can do for the greater community, not just the Pudgy Penguin community, as we kind of make these efforts.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm in the camp that I think a lot of these are going to get approved.
Yeah.
Almost universally across the board. That might be a little too optimistic. But then the question becomes, if all these ETFs are approved, there's less differentiation in getting an ETF. So how do you drive demand? I think that's the number one question that I saw on the timeline yesterday. So I'm curious for your thoughts. How's the team thinking about that?
I think the part that I'm really focused on, like while the market is the way that the market is how do you just optimize and create the best foundation possible to basically put you in a position to win. And so I got like a couple different buckets that I'm kind of like thinking about, which is like on one side from an exchange listing perspective, yeah, there's going to be tens of millions of coins. Pretty soon here, you'll probably have 100 million coins, but there's only going to be 100 or 70 that are listed on all the meaningful exchanges, right? And so, when I mean that, I mean like Robinhood, Coinbase, Binance, the whole lot. And so, okay, that's a degree of separation. And then maybe, on the institutional side, you can have a couple different ETF vehicles. That's another piece of the foundation. Eventually, once you have all of those different pieces, I think the big thing that I'm trying to do is separate myself from the millions of other tokens that are coming out and that are, constantly being created on the daily basis. And once you have that foundation, then it's a matter of how do you compete for attention. And that is the part that has never worried us. Right? Like a lot of people have filed for an ETF, but if you even just look at how we rolled out the ETF yesterday, we have the ability to get more noise than the next person. And I think if you have the right foundation and the right story, which I think we're on the precipice of having the right foundation. I think we've been telling an amazing story for the last couple of years. And you kind of pile that on with huge moments and huge marketing sprees. I think the ability to create demand is probably the least of our worries. I think the worry or the thing that we're focusing on now is making sure that we have the necessary foundation so that when we create that demand, we can capture that demand, right? I think the difference between us and everyone else is everyone, I think, will have a moment in which they can kind of garner and facilitate attention. How much of that attention can you capture, I think, is the important part. So we're just really going steadfast and just understanding look, the market's choppy. We won't really have that much clarity, I think. And I think things won't get that bullish until maybe towards the later end of the year. How do we put ourselves in a position so that, when risk is on, right, we are in places in an avenue nobody else is in, and we can capture those inflows, right? And I think that's the game that we're playing. And I think it's going to work out really well for us, as the market turns around.
I would agree. I think you and
100%.
team have been the ability to capture attention in an ongoing fashion as good as anyone over the last few years. So my hats off to you there. We've shared praise on this show for folks said kind words. I shared some positive thoughts yesterday. There's been a lot of critics on the timeline as well. So I wanted
Classic.
to get you, there's folks on my timeline who said it was the dumbest thing they've ever seen. I wanted to give you a chance to respond to the critics out there.
Look, everything, everything, every time we've done something, there was something, it was the dumbest thing that somebody ever saw. When we put plushies in Walmart, we were a little kid's brand. When we did a blockchain, we didn't know how to build blockchains. Why are we doing that? Right? Like everything we do is met with some skepticism. And ultimately, if you don't have skepticism or you don't have haters, you're probably doing something wrong. Ultimately, like, look, the plan is the plan, right? Like when I tell you that, the intent for us is to capture demand and to capture inflows and to separate ourselves from the tens of millions of tokens that are out there. I mean, like, how could you refute that? How could you say that's silly? That's obvious. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like nobody's balking at a Doge ETF. Nobody really balked at a Bonk ETF. But Pudgy Penguins is in Walmart. Pudgy Penguins one day will be on the big screen. Pudgy Penguins one day will be, in games on your phone and on your desktop. And we're just not going to stop winning, right? And whether it feels like we're winning in the time in this moment in time or not doesn't really matter. Like ultimately, we've been down this rodeo enough where it's like, look, like we have a formula, we know how to manufacture success, and this is the obvious logical conclusion in terms of things that people should be doing. And if you're not supporting what I think is crypto's underdog and one of the most beautiful stories that I think has come out of the industry in the last 5-10 years, then that's your prerogative. But ultimately, like we're going to continue driving success. And I think laying the foundation and allowing people, if and when you can really break through into that peak mania and craze to participate, that is the best thing that I can do for our holder base. And that's the best thing that I can do for our community. And how you can spin that any other way, I think is just silly. Because if there's a Doge ETF, there's no way you can't believe there's not going to be a Pengu ETF.
Exactly.
Pengu is so much more relatable and credible and understandable, I think, to the net new user today, outside of maybe the history of Doge and obviously its longevity and its success, than I think anything else out there. So to me, this is kind of obvious. And if you think it's silly, you probably think a lot of other things are silly. So I'll leave that up to them.
I mean, they did say a podcast network on Twitter Spaces was stupid, and we made it to the White House. So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's just, usually when the masses call something stupid, especially on crypto Twitter, you kind of want to take the other side of that and bet on that.
I'm starting to index more like a real like number one focus. I'm gonna pull it off. It's a little bit more, there's a little more magic and I think things that I think people have yet to figure out, but like I'm going after the XRP army, right? Like I'm almost graduated from this mindset of like catering to CT. I've kind of seen like
dude, the XRP army's crazy, bro. We got to be more like them. Like, dude,
that's a nerve I know I can tap into. I've seen the best and worst parts of CT, and ultimately like they're going to continue doing what they're doing. Like there's a whole world out there of people, millions of people that are in crypto, that are championing narratives, that are championing, tokens, that are seeing huge success, that literally nobody knows what CT is. And I think Pudgy Penguins is ripe for that group. So, over the course of time, I'm very confident that we're going to infiltrate this net normie audience.
I like that.
Very few people have.
Yeah, I mean, you already are. Love it. I recently gifted, so I got another care package from you guys, and I recently gifted like all the little toys, like my neighbor's daughter and all that stuff, and they were just like running around like screaming. She like came up to me, she's like, "Thank you so much, give me a huge hug," and like little things like that, and all the way to like these ETFs and the blockchain and streamers. Like you just appeal to like top down to like all ages in a way at this stage, especially with the addition of abstract now and everything got coming on, and then institutional and the little older crowd now with the ETFs, given that they get approved. So that would be really cool. So anyways, look at it. Congratulations. Love to see that. Thank you for coming today. That was great. And we'll be rooting for you. That's for sure. So can't wait to see what you're doing next.
Appreciate you. And I'll see you on Myriad Markets.
Hell yeah, baby. Much love. Peace out, Luca.
Bye, guys.
All right. Well, this is the time that you guys have all been waiting for. I love that. That was a good show. That was good. We had, end the week. See you, Amanda. We end the week with hang tight, everyone. Raffleball.xyz. The code is wizard. Get your last codes in if you want to win a Pudgy Penguin. That was good, Tyler. I'm excited, man.
It gets me bulled up every time we talk.
Yeah. I like it. I like talking to Luca. We talk a lot because obviously we're building our abstract and stuff, and it's just good. You need people who don't give a fuck. Just build. One thing. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Whoever's in charge, I see PP in there, Shiv, Burko, whoever's in charge of the gift. I was trying to send Persian New Year, Nowruz gifts to everyone, and usually there's a penguin gift for everything, and there wasn't a Pudgy penguin gift for the Persian New Year. And that was a little sad. I'm not gonna lie. So if we can make a little happy Nowruz gift with the penguins dancing around the half scene, little table, that would be fire. This is a little personal request, for the Iranian penguins out there. It's not just the Iranians, little Persian people celebrating Nowruz. That's a little bit of, I love that. I'm already getting the hearts and the thumbs ups. I love that. All right, Sips, let's run it, baby. Let's see who wins. Ooh, real use. A fellow red guy. Get on stage. Real use. Ray Yules. Congratulations. You win today's spin of the day. All right. Real Yules, there you are. You're on stage. What does your bio says? I'm just a red guy. You and me both, brother. What's up, Rayos? How you doing?
Very good, very good. Even better now.
Hell yeah! Look at that! Look at that! How long you been listening to the show for, Rayos?
Oh, even before the pandemic, I would say.
Wow! Love that! I love that. All right. Well, are you ready? Because I have a feeling someone's gonna win a Pudgy. Today's a Pudgy, penguin, a red guy. It's very simple. We have one Pudgy up for grabs and about 10 red guys, but there's a 13% chance that you get a Pudgy penguin. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
All right, let's get it ready. All right, Tyler, you're the penguin on here. Well, I am too, but you're really the king penguin. Yeah, blow on that mic.
Give him that Pudgy.
Let's go. Oh, so fucking close. Congratulations. You win a red guy. Congrats, red guy. Little $1,000 on a Friday. Not bad, huh?
That's sick. Thank you, man.
All right. You're very welcome. All right, Tyler, look. I know you've got some bets on Myriad. You got your predictions on. How you feeling about him? 83K Bitcoin end the week. That's the ones to sweat. It's a good line, huh?
So there's all these options expiring in stocks today. And they're a lot on the short side. So if the bulls squeeze them, maybe we finish a little higher than people think. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning bull side here. So
No, I love that. All right, you're in the bull. So we just added USDC market on Real Madrid and Arsenal for next week, but we have a few USDC markets coming out about Solana, more Bitcoin, etc. We have F1. So make sure you go to myriad.markets and also come participate. We have Myriad markets open for the blockchain Paris Blockchain Week, but also for Wallet Connect and a bunch of different stuff culture-wise. So it's not just USDC, it's also points. It costs absolutely nothing to get started on there, and come get yourself a little dose of abstract. Speaking of Luca Nets, right? So check it out. Sign up to Myriad Markets and help us reach 10,000 USDC active traders. We're gonna hit that this weekend, so we're cooking. And with that, we will see you all on Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the episode of FOMO Hour on Rug Radio. Let's go.